The big headline today, potentially a major blow to Obamacare. A federal court rules the IRS went too far when it allowed states which had not set up exchanges to continue handing out health care subsidies, potentially raising premiums for millions of Americans who bought their insurance through these federal exchanges. Hello, everybody. Hope you're off to a great day. I'm Jenna Lee.
I'm John Scott. Welcome to this brand new hour of Happening Now. That ruling delivers a major setback to the president's health care law. The appeals court finds that states that did not establish exchanges were not allowed to be handing out subsidies after all. Shortly after the ruling, White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest dismissed that concern, saying the subsidies would continue for the time being.
You don't need a fancy legal degree to understand that Congress intended for every eligible American to have access to tax credits that would lower their health care costs, regardless of whether it was state officials or federal officials who were running the marketplace.
Let's talk about it with A.B. Stoddard, associate editor and columnist for The Hill. Tom Rogan is a columnist for the National Review and the Daily Telegraph. A.B., it sounds like Josh Earnest is kind of thumbing his nose at the Supreme Court.
Right. It's interesting the way he assesses the interpretation of the law that Congress passed. First of all, the law that Congress passed has been changed many, many times by the executive branch. But second of all, it's not the executive branch's place to interpret it once a court ruling has come in. It's the court's job and role to be a separate and co-equal branch that interprets the laws. It might have been the truth that Democrats, when they passed this law, assumed that all of the states would run their own exchanges and everything would work out great. But once that didn't happen, it wasn't the role of the government to make a new interpretation and to start passing out subsidies in other states that did not set up their own exchanges according to this ruling. It makes it much more difficult to see how premiums stay down, and it also emboldens further critics to present more challenges in court about this law.
Tom, this is an election year. The Obamacare, has taken two consecutive hits now from the Supreme Court. First the Hobby Lobby decision, now this. What does it say to the American people as they head toward the November elections?
I think it says that this law has real problems. And if you read actually the opinion of the court, what they specifically talk about is that Congress can't simply, or the administration can't claim this notion of an elephant in the mouse hole, their words, by reinterpreting the law after it's been passed. It's pretty clear that the actual inferences of the law did not intend for it to apply in the way the administration has said. But as you note, the law has come under a lot of scrutiny in recent weeks. It's an increasingly unpopular issue, I think, in a lot of elections. And this just drives it back into the news and puts it front and center. And you can guarantee that Republicans will be using this, again, as an angle to say to the American people, this law is not what you intended.
A.B., the Congress, could have written this law in a way that would have passed, this particular test. There is language that could have been fixed. Nobody thinks it's going to happen now with Republicans in control of the House, but why didn't it get done right the first time?
Well, the interpretation by this court and this ruling is that the law was written to incentivize states to set up their own exchanges. So now you have 2/3 of our population concentrated in 36 states that have federal exchanges operating Obamacare, where they're now no longer going to receive subsidies. And that's a disaster. But the court sees that the law was written in order to motivate states to set up their own exchanges in order to provide subsidies, get everybody covered at an affordable rate. No, you are right. We are not looking at any rush to amend this or fix this problem. We're going to see Democrats go through a very tough election, John, and you'll see in 2015, depending how much of an electoral price they paid in the fall, Democrats and Republicans coming together to address all the holes in Obamacare and try to fix it. But you're not going to see anything before they go to the polls in November.
Tom, the appeals court in Richmond, which is a separate appeals court from the one in D.C., just issued a ruling on apparently the very same topic. They decided that the Obamacare subsidies are legal. So you've got two courts equal in status, two appeals courts equal in status with very different rulings. That would seem like it's going to hasten the arrival of this decision in the lap of the U.S. Supreme Court.
I think that's absolutely right. But at least from my perspective, I struggle to see. I mean, the dissent today for the appeals court in D.C. was pretty emotional in the language that it's going to cause, catastrophic consequences. But, I went to law school in the UK. I'm an American citizen, but I read law in the UK. And in any law student reading that opinion in terms of the ruling of the court would see that the legal basis in which they've moved against the government here is pretty clear, because the administration was trying to be creative. And I think it speaks to, actually, Nancy Pelosi said that we need to pass the law so that Americans can see what's in it. Well, maybe they should have spent more time actually analyzing the specific implications of what they wanted to achieve instead of just creating thousands of pages of documents and ramming it through. And you're seeing the blowback now of, whether it's the website or the actual law, of a failure to consider how serious this would be and how complex it would be.
Tom Rogan from the National Review, A.B. Stoddard, A.B. from the associate editor and columnist at The Hill. Thank you.
Thank you.